There are 5 things silently destroying your blood flow downstairs, and most men don't ever realize it's happening. That's the crazy part. It's these habits and exposure we've been told about are normal, but are slowly breaking down the foundation of your bedroom performance. And in this video, I'm going to break down each one, why it matters, and what it's actually costing you. Now, I've gone over 500 plus days on NoFap and even cured my own ED. And this is all from experience. Now, number one, watching porn, aka the adult content. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably have heard this a million times, but you have to understand, once this addiction is in your mind and you have that exposure, man, it is tough to get rid of, right? It's like when someone has a house and they have rats in the house. It's tough to get rid of the rats. If they have bed bugs, it's tough to get rid of these things, right? And the reason why is because how society is nowadays, right? And I just had this thought, right, where if you look at society nowadays, man, there are, risky, right, images everywhere. Pictures, videos, whatever it is, right, of things that will spark your dopamine. Let's just say that, right, of a ton of women out there, right? And if you look at it, right, you look on TV, the ads that are out there, right, even just you watching TV innocently are way, way more revealing than what they used to be, right? And you look at things like, right, even the shows that you're watching or movies, right, they often have explicit scenes in there. You're scrolling on your phone, there's always something that will just show up on maybe your explore page, right? You have, of course, you even look at, things like online streaming and all of these streamers. And it's crazy because the most interesting part about this is, especially when you look at things like OF, right? OF is literally a representation of that market, right? So being able to categorize and being able to feed off of lonely men, right, that are basically, looking for companion and all of these things, you start to see that society is just a reflection. So the money that only OF is making, right, is a result of the value that they're providing to the market. And it says a lot about the men in modern society nowadays, right? And then also you have people, right, some of these streamers who basically are trying to, team up with these women on these platforms and basically, just boost their social media, boost their account, make them more money and take a cut of these things, right? And they build agencies around them. But you start to look at society as a whole and see, wow, there's something wrong with this. This cannot be normal, right? And when we start to talk about, right, the corn, right, of course, because that dopamine is so high, when you get in a real life situation, it's hard to perform. And we have to remember that this used to be a taboo topic. It is still a taboo topic nowadays, right? But the thing is, society has changed, right? In the past, you didn't have all these things flashing in front of you, right? You didn't have an Instagram Explore page. You had, maybe you would go to work, you'd be outside, and that's to the extent of the people and the women, the attractive women that you would see. But nowadays, right, someone doesn't have to do anything, and just because they have access to the internet and a phone or a TV, they can see whatever they want online, which shows you the level of difficulty has gone up tremendously, right? And at the end of the day, we live in a capitalist society. So, women who are making a ton of money on OF or all of these things, and making money isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's really a reflection of where we are nowadays. And they are feeding off of your addiction. And of course, on the latter end is your performance, right? And they make money by keeping you addicted, right? And what goes through your eye gates. So it's important that you try to limit as much as possible, ideally quit. But if you can limit, right, the corn use, your performance will improve a ton, and you'll stop killing, your mental ability to get aroused. Now, number 2, eating junk food. Now, the two hardest things, right, for men to do, right, are what you see through your eye gates and what you put in, and you eat, right, what goes inside of you, right? And we have to understand that, nowadays you have these companies that are putting chemicals in the food, right? They're putting so many different chemicals in the food to addict you, right? And it's no different than these companies, that are placing ads in certain places to try to get things to escalate for you to go onto the adult content websites, right? There's no difference, right? All they're doing is capitalizing off of you, right? In the attention that you give to these things, right? And the real issue, right, is making money is not a problem, but at what cost, right? And when we look at you, right, and all the junk food, right, that you're eating, right, think about it. You probably have cravings for junk food, cravings for sugar, right, cravings for maybe pizza, fries, whatever it is. But then you start to think, man, where are these cravings actually come from? Why do we even have cravings in the first place, right? And of course, then you have to realize the chemicals and the ingredients that are being put in, this food is meant to keep you coming back for more and more. And what does that make? That makes more profit for them, right? And on the latter end of them making profit, a lot of times it causes problems within you, right? So they're going to cut corners to make as much money as possible. But then you have the other side where, since you're eating that food, right, you basically are putting your body in more inflammation, right? And inflammation is literally the negative to blood flow and performance, right? It's literally the exact opposite, right? And when you have, a ton of inflammation in your body, probably a lot of you didn't know this, literally the nutrients that you can have inside when you eat something, right? You're supposed to get a certain amount of, let's say, protein. You're supposed to get a certain amount of, different nutrients from the food, whatever it is. Literally, your body cannot absorb all of it because you have so much inflammation going on, right? And it causes a cycle to where you're addicted to the food, you're addicted to, what you see on your screen, right? Then you're living this right kind of sedentary lifestyle, right? You're eating food that doesn't make you feel good, it doesn't make you look good, right? It doesn't make you smell good, right? All of these things. And then we wonder why, you get to a situation where you want to test your body's limits and your performance, and you're unable to perform at the level you would want to, right? And there's all a story behind it, right? But it's really a reflection of how society is nowadays and kind of what's shaping the modern male experience. Number 3, high stress. Now, when we think about stress, right, it's literally just another form of inflammation in the body, right? And when we talk about, your performance, right, and just blood flow in general, blood flow happens because blood vessels relax and allow blood to flow through, And the thing is, something like stress is literally the exact opposite of this. If you wanted opposites day, literally blood flow is it, man. And it's crazy because, you it's one of those things where stress can literally aid you, right? It can kill you faster, or it can make your body function even worse. So it's important that we're able to address things like stress within our body, right? And understand that just because we have stress isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's important to regulate, right? To have people around you that you can de-stress with, right? Have friends, have family, right? Have different activities, hobbies, right? A lot of you don't even have any hobbies, right? You just, on the game, chronically on the internet, and don't have anything else going on, right? And also you have things like meditation, green tea, or breath work. These are all tools that you can use to fight stress, right? It's important to use what you have and figure out what works for you, right? But no one is going to put in the groundwork for you to figure out these things. Now, if you are gaining value from this video, you like what I'm talking about in this video and these type of topics, please like this video. It would mean a lot to the channel. Now, number 4, poor sleep. Now, it's crazy because when we think about society as a whole, and all of these things stack on top of each other, right? But when we think about sleep, right, the primary way that we sleep and how our bodies were meant to sleep is, we go to sleep when the sun goes down and we wake up when the sun rises. But you think nowadays, it's funny me even recording this video, right? It's the sun is down, so I'm not supposed to be recording this video right now. But you think about, the circadian rhythm that we're supposed to be following. And literally, our society is the exact opposite of that, right? So people stay up, late at night, and then you sleep in during the day, right? Just an example, especially on the weekends, right? And what happens is with all these things, right? These screens, the artificial light, right? The late nights, all of these things, literally, it causes your body to not recover as well. And then also just being able to have, your hormones function properly in your body and your mind, right? And how you feel. When you don't sleep well, you don't feel great, right? It's almost like life is black and white. It literally doesn't feel great at all, right? And when you don't get sleep as well, you start to deal with the cortisol spikes, right? And feeling even more stressed. So it literally stacks on top of one another. When someone's watching corn, when you're not eating the proper food, when you have a lot of stress, and then you're not sleeping properly, right? And then you're always in this fight or flight state, right? Man, you're doomed from the start, right? If you think you're gonna have good blood flow, it's over for you, right? So you start to see the picture of how our modern society is shaped around things that honestly negatively affect your health, if we're being honest, right? And it's your job to be able to fight these things, right? To try your best to go to sleep on time and do these things and educate yourself on how to improve it, right? But you have to understand that something like a blood flow issue, right, and just an ED issue, right, is of course a multi-variable issue, but it's really a reflection of you, right? You always have to remember that, because things don't happen for no reason, right? So there's always an underlying reason why some of these things are happening. Now, number 5, smoking. Now this one, man, if you're doing this, right, and you expect to be performing at your best, you're sadly mistaken, right? Smoking literally cooks your blood vessels, right? It damages your blood vessels. Now, if you want the quickest way to be able to, get in that situation where you can't perform and have her leave you, this is it, right? If you want her to leave you, go ahead and do this, right? Because if you're going to go ahead and damage your blood vessels, do not expect, right, to have good blood flow. And that can lead to a whole nother, set of problems, right? And you think about nowadays, right? First of all, it started back in the day, with pipes and cigarettes and all of that, right? But of course, as time went on, there's been a lot of education about, the cigarettes. But then, of course, the vapes, right? The vapes was the big thing that started rolling out. And what happens is people started using these vapes, right? And, of course, the vapes, they have these different flavors and all these different things that make people believe that it's not as harmful, right? But as you start to, believe something isn't as harmful, then you get addicted to the nicotine, and then it's no different, right? Because it's sure, it's not as bad as doing other things, but it's not great for your health, and you know that, right? So as you keep doing all that smoking, right, you're damaging your blood flow. And when you stack all of these things on top of one another, right, in these different addictions, you can say, right? People can have food addiction, people can have, addiction to corn, right? People can have addiction to nicotine. When you start to look at the picture that's being painted for the modern man, you start to realize that, you're your own worst enemy, if we're being honest, right? All of these things are working together against you, right? In terms of your performance in your blood flow. Now, it's your choice whether you want to be able to, say no to these things and change your life, change your performance, get the partner of your dreams, all of these things. But again, if you're not able to perform, man, you're never going to have a family, right? Never going to have kids, all of these things. So it's important that you get this down now. And of course, there's a ton of ramifications down the line, not only blood flow, right? You have, people who have these type of problems tend to have heart attacks, right? So it's bigger than just being able to perform at the end of the day. We're talking about your life, and you only get one. Now, if you enjoyed this video, man, like the video and click this next video on the screen if you want to improve your performance. I'm telling you, you won't want to miss it.